Okay, we'll call the meeting to order at 7:02.
Time to start.
Jesse Levin, would you like to lead the flag, please?
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. The district digitally records the audio portion of the meetings. The recorder is... Oh, yes, sorry, roll call, sorry. Suzanne, will you please take roll?
Yes, I will. Trustee Villalobos?
Here.
Trustee Burdall?
Here.
Trustee Shiakari? Trustee Levin?
Here.
Trustee Gould?
Here.
Thank you.
Now, the district digitally records the audio portion of the meetings. The recorder is located in front of the board scribe. All recordings are kept in the superintendent's office for 30 days and are available during that time period for inspection by members of the public on district equipment without charge. As a community service, Pacifica Community Television, PCT, records the broadcast meetings. Okay, approval of the minutes for May 17th.
Would you like a motion
Yes,
to
motion.
approve the minutes of May 17th? I'll move that.
I'll second that.
Okay. And approval
All
of the...
in favor.
All in favor? Sorry.
You gotta vote.
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Okay.
Board passes 4-0. Thank you.
Okay, approval of the agenda and consent agenda. All items on the consent agenda will be approved with one motion, which is not debatable, and which requires a unanimous vote for passage. If any member of the board, the superintendent, or the public so requests, any items shall be removed from this section and placed in the regular order of business following approval of the consent agenda. Okay, do I have a motion for approval of the consent agenda?
I agree.
I'll second.
All vote? Okay.
Board passes 4-0. Thank you.
Okay. This portion of the agenda is available to the public to address the board on any issue that is not on the agenda. The maximum time allowed for any speaker is 3 minutes. Okay, LSEA?
My colleagues at LSEA asked me to please convey that they are not able to be here tonight and they have no report.
Okay, CSEA?
Nothing at this time.
Okay, people wishing to address the board? There's no. Okay, correspondence?
No.
Okay, superintendent communications? Would you like to?
I've just been going to a lot of board meetings.
Keep you busy every week, yeah. Just-
So I went to the Ocean Shore open house, and I think I saw both of you there. Really fun. In addition to the square dancing, going through all of the classrooms and some of the themes there pretty much knocked me out. One of them was Greek classics, so I learned a lot. They also had, going through all the hallways, it was all about sort of marine biology, like everywhere you looked. So that was really nice as well. What else? I feel like I've done a lot. We did Pethathon on Friday, so that was good. I feel like there was something else, but I've just forgotten.
All the meetings you've been in.
Yeah, I mean, we've been doing meetings weekly and work study, so.
Yeah. Well, I guess I've been to most of those. And Cabrillo, I made it over to Cabrillo's open house, and that was good because they have their art auction. It's a very good auction. I did not bid on anything, but if you want to decorate your house, our schools are the best places to go. Really nice stuff, especially if you don't have children. That's it.
And let's see, I went to a lot of the same open houses, Ocean Shore, Cabrillo, and Ortega. And the Pethathon was on Sunday, and they had close to 400 registered runners, so that was an all-time high. So it's growing a little bit every year, which is great. And we had the alumni concert, which was Cabrillo Valimar, and it was held at IBL, and the band concert, and that was the 20-year anniversary of the Snyders starting the music program up. And the nice thing was that the new band director, yes, the new band director is Samantha Johns, who was one of the Cabrillo Valimar band students
Oh, good.
almost 20 years ago. So now she's going to be the new band director. So it kind of went full circle.
Isn't that exciting? Along with all those other things, and again, I want to thank everyone in the community. District office staff really came out. Lauren Fong's family had the best dress. They were Superman and who was the other guy? Lex Luthor. Lex Luthor. Lex Luthor. Okay, who was the other guy? Can't remember their name. So that was very fun, and the report I heard was they had over 100 more
last
people participate. So, you know, it's really neat to be able to see that these activities are starting to take hold in the community. I think January Jazz had a larger turnout. So every year we're getting a little more participation, and it's just exciting when the community can get together. The other thing that happened at the Valimar Cabrillo concert is a real shout out to the Pacifica Lions Club, who donated or provided a $6,000 check, and I think Sue was one of
President.
the grantees. Are you president? You're the president of the
As of July 1.
And so we so appreciated that support. And again, just a thoughtful give to Pacifica School District and to our programs. And so, quite frankly, as we watch the budget development, which hopefully will happen by mid-June, we're a little disappointed in the May revise because the governor is asking to hold the one-time funds. We will be talking about that tonight. So our hope is that we continue to gain the support of our community, and we are fiscally prudent. I think from tonight's board item, you'll see that, and we will just keep moving forward. So it was a great event, and thank you very much to the Lions Club.
Okay, the district business. The district values the goals provided by our local control accountability plan and strategic plan. All of our district board agenda items are tied to these goals. One or more goals are listed in the description of each board agenda item. The details for each of those district goals can be accessed on our agenda online public page or by visiting the district website, www.pacificasd.org, under District Information Board of Trustees. Okay, 5A, English Language Arts and English Language Development. Wendy?
So it's with great pleasure to bring forward to the trustees a recommendation to adopt the Teachers College Reading Writing Project as the Pacifica School District ELA/ELD curriculum. We have present tonight Catherine Mahalo, who, and Catherine was, okay, I have to read. Catherine was also named the 2017 San Mateo County Reading Association Celebrate Literacy Award. She will be awarded that in October. So of all of San Mateo County, and we're so proud of her. She will be here tonight with Lauren Fong, her co-humanities specialist, to talk about the journey we went through and present to you, hopefully with a positive approval for our adoption. So with that.
Okay. Thank you, Wendy.
Thank you.
I just wanted to take a moment to start by saying how fortunate we are to have Lauren Fong, who led us through this process. It was her first year in the district that she stepped up, and through her leadership, leadership, integrity, and attention to detail, streamlined this process to get it done very quickly, seamlessly, and we're just really excited to share these results. So I'm going to turn it over to Lauren so she can do that. Thank you.
So our goal is to inform our trustees of the ELA, ELD curriculum selection process so that an informed decision can be made to adopt the Teachers College Reading Writing Project curriculum as the PSD curriculum. Really excited. So like Catherine said, this was a 2-year process. We started last year. We were trained at San Mateo County Office of Ed on how to use a state provided toolkit for the adoption process. We also, through that toolkit, we did a social content review. We reviewed the Williams Act for compliance. And then there was also another toolkit that we used for selecting non-State Board of Education adopted K through 12 materials. So Catherine and I did lead this process. And last January we did a survey of all teachers in the district. And it was an overwhelming outcome to continue to move forward with the reading and writing units by Teachers College. So our committee members, as spelled out in the toolkit, was a balanced representation from all of our schools, as well as a balance between grade spans K2, 3, 5, and 6, 8. We had special education administrators, parents, assessment and technology specialists, and ELD expertise, all represented as part of our group. So through this process, what's kind of was happening in tandem were things here on this slide. So the San Mateo County Consortium is an inter-district group that we got together with to look at the ELD component of the units of study. And with that group, we developed and designed an ELD guide to go along with the units of study. At the same time, Teachers College, with the help of about 60 teachers in the state, went through the unit session by session to really highlight where ELD was best support
Well, we were a part of that group as well. So we were part of that collaborative, and we went through each session to highlight the high leverage moves to affect English language development specifically that were already embedded in the session, and then additionally added addendums to add additional suggestions for what could improve the sessions for ELD.
Thank you. And then we've also continued to support our lead teachers to develop a grammar guide. And so what that is really calling out within, again, session by session, the grammar and where that could explicitly be taught throughout the unit. And then we had the adoption committee meetings as well. I don't know what to add with this slide.
So if you look
What's
at,
this?
so if
Oh,
you,
it's a-
yeah,
Okay.
if you just look at this, this slide is really about what you will be adopting. Again, I think the important piece for us, or for to be noted, is the units of study. Overwhelmingly, everyone appreciates them and has embraced them. The issue for us was especially the English learner component that we didn't feel was called out strong enough, and therefore they did the work this year. And I think Lucy Calkins, TC, Teachers College, heard us loud and clear and gathered the group on the West Coast to develop these lessons designed to go with the sessions, or with the lessons. They're really the lessons, but they call them sessions.
Yeah.
So The other piece for us, and we're still working through with the teachers, is the grammar component. Teachers College, the project itself, really teaches writing through doing writing, which is really a strong method to teach writing. So it doesn't necessarily have these discrete lessons of sentence diagramming, etc. And so we are struggling in how we take how we've learned to teach grammar and embed it into some new ways of strategies of teaching writing. And so we've done a matrix with a grammar guide, so to speak, of calling out where you can teach the appropriate grammar. We're looking at really doing some strong support practices, especially with our grades 6 through 8 teachers, so that they can learn how to use this style and process into teaching through the writing piece. And we're feeling really, really good about the elements that we've designed. And then, of course, the assessment piece, we are going to be moving to Fontes and Pinal, and therefore, which is not necessarily part of this, but it helps us to determine what is the best way to teach the students in the classroom, how to do the workshop model the best for differentiation. And that will be a K-8 component, where in the past we've piecemealed some of the assessments with the DRA, with Teachers College assessments, etc. So now we're going to just use Fontes and Pinal so that everyone is using the same assessment across the district, K through 8. And so we're really excited about that piece. So if you look at those major components, we feel that using the toolkit, we were able to say, yes, in fact, we did hit the mark, and that's what the committee had kind of gone through as a last look through.
Something I forgot to add was that the work done with Teachers College and the 60 teachers across the state was we aligned every single session to the ELD standards.
That was quite a task.
Yes.
And it was a response to districts across the state. So we really need to understand it's not just Pacifica. There was a whole movement out here in the West Coast, and that's what got the attention of Teachers College and got this work done. It was a matter of 6 to 8 weeks. It was really amazing, from idea to actually published through Heinemann.
So to support the implementation, past professional development has included homegrown institutes from Teachers College and Reading and Writing Workshop. Teachers College has also come out to do lab sites. There's been ongoing support through the humanities specialists and our leads at every site. A number of our leads, as well as most of our school principals, as well, and Catherine and I, the humanities specialists, have been very fortunate. So thank you for allowing us to have that training at Teachers College. Currently, this school year, Catherine and I went out to a few of our schools to do lab sites, and we're going to continue with that work next year. And again, Catherine and I, as the humanities specialists, and our leads continue to support the movement of the work. And through working with a couple of the districts here, we really have formed a great partnership with some local districts that are also using the Teachers College. And San Mateo County Office of Ed has really, I think, helped to kind of bring us together to kind of share in that work.
Do you want to explain what a lab site is? Do you all know do you understand what a lab site is?
I can explain. So we'll go out to a school and we'll do some new learning with teachers. And then we'll go into So we'll do some demonstrations, maybe in classrooms, or we'll pull students out to do some demonstrations, and then we'll go in and practice some of these teaching moves with kids and giving each other feedback. Catherine and I, we might have teachers working in partnerships, and we'll coach in to them. It's really an opportunity for them to kind of bounce ideas off of each other. It's kind of a real kind of like think tank. It's really exciting and fun.
It's a method of professional development that we're replicating through Teachers College. That's what we were paying staff developers to do when we flew them out to do this at our school. So Lauren and I have been replicating that work, and it follows their philosophy of give some content, but allow a lot of time to practice that new move. And there's obviously much higher rates of transference when instruction is done in that manner.
And the teachers got to select an area that they wanted to focus on. And so this year they focused on small group instruction. So it's really exciting to be able to see that they can kind of start picking and choosing, parts of the workshop model on how to be stronger practitioners.
And I think what we love about it too is I think we're also going into modeling best practices not just for ELA, but what we're also talking about is transferable to other content areas. So.
That was my only question.
Yeah.
Thank you for answering it.
So this is our state performance center levels for ELA, our SBAC results.
And
Do you
so for us, when we look at all students, we're green, which means we're high. We're not highest, which is blue, but we are high. And I think that lends itself, just speaks to itself for how well this Teachers College Reading Writing Project curriculum works. We do have areas that we need to focus on, and we really feel that by looking at our data, we are pulling that data zone together and having that opportunity to really start looking at our unduplicated pupils and getting the ELD standards embedded into the units of study, that we will be able to have those students progress as well. So we're really excited about just having that opportunity to keep moving forward and getting better at our craft.
Are there any questions?
Well, I have a question. It may be a Wendy question.
Mm-hmm.
So, would we continue with the leads at every site and our district leads and the professional development with Lucy Calkins, or do we at some point say we are trained in our new ELA structure, ELD structure, and it's time to let that kind of grow on its own while we focus of energy and money in a different place?
Well, so if you look at the research on professional development, you're never done, right? And so what my recommendation would be, and as we looked at how we ensure that we provide a strong content-driven professional learning opportunities for all of our students, is that I would probably suggest to maintain the personnel to continue the training and continue honing our skills in those areas, but we may not do it as robustly as we have in the past. An example is, an example is with Teachers College. At the beginning, we threw in a lot of training. It's very rare that all schools would have both homegrown 5 days of professional development during the summer, and we were able to do that. We won't ever bring homegrown back again, but because we have built up our humanities specialists and they're trained well, and the leads are starting to build their expertise, we really want to start building an instructional leadership team at every school. That's why we have a math lead there, we have a humanities lead, and we have an innovation lead, so that they can continue to grow and move forward. We see, it's interesting because I've asked that question too, and we've struggled with it, especially now with how our funds have been cut. And next year we won't be able to do the lab sites as robustly as we have in the past, because math is taking place, its place at this time. But we don't want to drop it. It's kind of like with band. I think 1 year you don't have band, it's very hard to build it back because you miss all of that, those structures that you put in place. So I would suggest that we would keep our structures in place, keep honing our skills, but sometimes we can't have as much professional development, but continue that dialogue at the schools. And that's why those leads become so important, and of course our specialists who are our experts. I said sometimes we may not be able to go to TC every year, and it was really disappointing to them because every time they go, they learn something new that they can bring back to us. You know, they're learning too. So I just feel like that will be a difficult thing to give up and not have our entire program suffer. So I would say that would be probably a little, we'd have to be really cutting to the bone if we didn't have our specialists and our leads.
Well, I agree, and this curriculum specifically it's ever evolving because it's coming out of a research-based institution. Speaking some to what Wendy was saying around every time we go we learn something new, because it is changing. We're updated every time. In addition, when we go out to sites to work with teachers, just like us when we're at our trainings, they come to us and they're able to see into new layers that they just weren't ready for before, because it is so rich. So that's the excitement of the work to me, is to always know that there's more as you're ready to take it on. So.
Okay. Any questions? We're just, okay. We have a motion to approve?
I motion to approve.
Okay, second.
So we are moving to approve the adoption of the
The English-
teachers,
Okay.
Teachers
good.
College Reading Writing Project, along with the assessment. I mean, like, there's so many pieces of this.
Right, so
Okay.
so right now, what you're doing, because the assessment is not necessarily part of it, but the Teachers College Reading Writing Project is now what we perceive to be, based upon looking at our toolkit, et cetera, that it can be adopted as the ELA, ELD adoption, curriculum adoption for Pacifica School District. So it's really about the ELA, ELD curriculum.
So really, it's those two pieces that we put up there, that you put up there before, with the ELD and the Teachers College, but not the assessment and the grammar.
Well, no, grammar is embedded in the units of study,
Okay.
but what we're doing is we're enhancing that piece with our guides, et cetera, so that teachers can actually really use these references to support the grammar teaching. The assessment as well, there are assessment pieces as they're going through the units, but we feel to be consistent and stronger across the district that we would use Fontes and Pinal as the addition to the ELA, ELD curriculum, so that everyone is consistently using the same document.
And will we consider that part of the adoption?
You could, I guess, but it's
I just kind of want to get a clear picture, because when we talk about Williams, you know, we want to have, you know, fair access for all adopted material. So if the assessment.
Fontes and Pinal is not part of the TC units. So I would say that you are adopting the Teachers College Reading Writing Project for ELA, ELD curriculum adoption. That does not include Fountas and Pinal.
Okay.
But it does include other assessments that,
They have embedded assessments
Some,
in their units, but, so, you know, you can't do everything in
Sure.
a curriculum,
Okay.
so our suggestion would be that you use running records, which they do as a practice, but if you're going to do benchmark assessments, we are going to be using Fountas and Pinal in lieu of. So,
Just
but
know
you're,
it's kind of funny because we're, you know, it's not, we don't go to state board
Right.
approved materials anymore, which means it's up to us to decide whether these meet the standards. I mean, we are the ones that are, state board doesn't say this meets standard. We are putting our stamp of approval on it tonight that this curriculum meets California ELA, ELD standards and can be used by the district because we are adopting it. I mean, like,
Right.
I feel like that's what we're doing tonight. It's a little different than a normal adoption.
it's local control.
It's local, so, you know, I just
Yes.
want to make sure we're all, you know, in agreement what we're adopting and
Yeah.
what we're doing.
Well, I'm confident in it because my kids went to Ortega, so we were doing the writers' workshops before before it really became part of the other schools. And so I got to see, you know, how the reading and the writing and what my kids were bringing home. And so I'm in support of that. You know, I saw it with my
It's
own
very
eyes.
inspiring. I mean, kids, my sense is, it was the first time I've heard children say, I love to read, and I love to write, and I'm a writer, and I'm a reader.
I had all their
It's just, it's very inspiring, yeah, yeah.
Okay, sorry to have stopped that process.
It's a good check.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so do we have a motion to approve? The English language arts, English language development curriculum adoption, teachers college reading and writing workshop?
I motion to approve the TC curriculum.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Board passes 4-0. Thank you.
Okay. 5B, public.
Thank you.
5B, public hearing, 2017 to 2020 LCAP and LCFF, and the goal is governance. Will?
Okay, this has been a long process. Long process. But it's been a good process. So tonight what we're asking is to recommend this is a public hearing for the LCAP, 2017-2020 LCAP, including the annual update. So there's a number of attachments that were included there, and I just want to go through those first. There's the executive summary, which I believe you were familiar with before. And then there was also the full document, the full 2017-2020 LCAP document. And then there was the LCAP activities, and that was those were all the meetings that we had, all the conversations we had with all of our stakeholders and our partners, in making sure that we got input and direction, in some ways, direction in these LCAP activities and goals that we put in. And then there's also, the LCAP is in a new template, which hopefully won't change next year. It seems like there's a new template every year. But it's the template has a number of different sections. There's the story. There's there's a kind of a summary of where we've come and where we're at with our actions, and then there's also a section on it, like an annual update, which is kind of annually updates of what actions that we've had in the LCAP, and then there's what's called the GAS, which is the goals, actions, and expenditure services section, which is the actual goals that we're proposing and actions connected to those goals for our LCAP from 2017, 18, and 19 school years. And then there's also a question and answer which was compiled over all these meetings with our stakeholders. Any questions that came up, we made sure we documented them, and then we had them, we answered those questions. So that is another attachment there. So where we are now with it is that we're presenting it now. There's still some cleanup sections that need to be cleaned up and cleared up. We have had a meeting with the San Mateo County office, I'm gonna
Office of Education.
Office of Education. I don't want to call them the LCAP police. But they have actually looked through the document and made sure that it's, we're doing what we need to do, not as far as actions and goals, but that we are actually addressing the areas that we need, and that we have all the components of the LCAP complete, thorough, and clear. And so we've gone through that process. So the document the full document that you have here has everything. It's pretty much the completed document. It's just basically some wordsmithing and cleaning it up, but it's what you have in front of you. So
Are there any, the one thing that they did ask us to do that I thought was is to go deeper into understanding or demonstrating an understanding of the use of our vice principals and AP, especially because we use supplemental funds. And so I think that it's easier to get the words from the schools themselves and the people who are actually using them. So it was great. Will did a Google Docs or whatever you call it, and the principals embedded their information, because of course they're doing tremendous work with our unduplicated pupils, and the county office of ed was very impressed. They also wanted to know how the schools were expending the supplemental funds for the unduplicated pupils at the schools, and again we requested that information from the principals, and again San Mateo County Office of Ed was very impressed. I think that our schools and district-wide, we are really leveraging our funds well. The limited amount of dollars that we have to really bring forward an impressive program. So I'm excited that I believe that after we've done those few modifications and enhanced our language so that it was clearer, that they were satisfied.
So are those modifications available in track changes at all?
in what, in track changes?
Yeah, just so we can see.
Well, the actual final one is ready and complete to.
Yeah, that's clean, right?
Yeah, and that one will be,
Okay.
will be the one that would be
So
presented.
I guess
would
what I
say
mean,
no.
okay, yeah, I was just interested in the extra detail, because obviously that is very, very interesting.
So for me,
Yeah.
if I were to make to say where the biggest bulk of additional information came that was substantial, would be in the attachment that we included. So there's a whole section now, an appendix almost, of it's called identification of unduplicated.
Yeah, identification of unduplicated pupils and expenditures connected to those.
Great,
programs.
okay,
So,
perfect.
and in that particular section, the document that here is very close to it, but we've just, as Wendy has said, we've just made sure it's very clear, so a person in the public can look at it and listen, they can get specifics about
Great.
how. To me, as far as the process of going through that, even though it was a lot of work, but at the same time, it was very educational to me, and it made the conversations I was having with administrations at the sites was really telling me, how are these unduplicated students in particular, how are they being supported, and the funding that's connected to it, and although the funding is not where it should be, it is what
Not
it is.
enough.
But how is that being used? So it was a good process to go through, even though it was, it was kind of required of us to spell this out for us.
Yeah.
And so we were very fortunate. But the final document will have it nice and prettily clear, like it'll be clear for anybody
But
to.
for the track changes or for
Yeah,
the
yeah,
area that.
That's okay. If it's
Yeah,
all
look at-
condensed in one thing,
Look
then.
at that attachment.
Okay, that's great. So, one thing that I have a question on, because I've sort of, I'm not gonna say I've been with you guys every step of the way here, but I've been involved here and there. But I'm just wondering, to what extent were we privy to LCAPs from other districts in doing this? And, if the county comes and says, well, you need more information here, it would always help if they could give you an example, an exemplar.
So they
Right?
do, yeah, they
Okay.
do. We went through they had like 4 sessions or 5 sessions that we went through as the new template was being developed.
Mhm.
The difficulty is the fact that we really didn't know what it was until it was kind of put upon us. And so we were all learning as we were going. So they went by section of what to look for, how it's going to work. When the dashboard came live, we talked about how we might use that information. So as we went, and they would give us exemplars
Okay.
of what it might look like. So that's
I mean, they don't want to give you something and say, oh, and then a district just says, oh, I'm going to do that.
Exactly.
Of course, you don't want to turn into sort of this rubber stamp duplicative exercise, but
Right.
but I'm just thinking in the future, we can start building off of our other districts, our neighbor districts. I don't want to say neighbors, not all of them are neighbors, but districts that are in our county, and it's just interesting to see what other people are doing, and sort
Well,
of,
and that's the piece I think that's always nice, is to see what are the districts who are successful in certain populations, and they did, Pacifica was named as one of them for English learners. So and that's what the dashboard will allow us to do, to look at who in our county are doing well with certain populations. And of course, one of especially the special education population, the students with disabilities, I've asked Ray to reach out to some of his colleagues, because there are some, we are red, but there are some districts that are maybe yellow.
That's the way.
I don't know if anybody are green, but
That's the way you can really leverage this,
Exactly.
and so I think that it's almost incumbent on some of us to make some requests to the county that they start developing a knowledge base.
And they are.
Right, and making sure that if not a formal collaboration, learning collaborative amongst different districts, that at least there can be an informal and some sort of knowledge base that everybody can access. So I'm hoping that happens, because this is a good thing, and we want to get out of the red on our special ed, right? And so who seems to be doing it right with the same types of students? So.
I felt like going through this process and kind of coming in the middle, and going to these meetings. I had long phone conversations with Wendy from Redwood City, who's doing the LCAP there, and Sandy from Jefferson. So I had these conversations and just learning the structure. But one of the positives that came out of our meetings when they came and told us and gave us suggestions, it wasn't about our, what we were putting in there. We were putting the right things in it. The plus was they were just saying, tell us more specifically. So I think we were like, hey, you're on the right track. Just make it so that it's very clear for the reader. So I was nervous they were going to say you're way off the track.
Right.
Well, I think we have to realize this is all new to them as well.
Yeah.
Right? It's not like they've been testing this out on people for 10 years or anything. They're to a certain extent building the plane as it's taking off.
Flying.
Right?
While it's flying.
Or while it's flying,
And hopefully don't switch planes in the middle of the air.
Yeah.
Hopefully they don't go that way.
No, but that's good. Thanks so much.
Any other questions?
So the next step will be, we're getting it all pretty, and we're doing one final ask of San Mateo County Office of Ed. We wanted to see if there were any questions tonight from the public or from the trustees, and then we will be bringing it back on the 14th, which is next week, for your approval.
Yeah, we'll be bringing it back for the approval, but also we'll be doing the adopting the local education agency plan, which is more of the federal mandate, even though that particular document is in transition, because I think eventually the LCAP is going to encompass both. It's just going to have that added piece that will be more of how federal funds are spent. So it's more of just an edited version, because our LCAP really tells us how we're spending those funds, how those are directed.
Yeah, sure.
All right. 5C, public hearing 2017 to 2018 budget. Goal is governance. Josie?
Okay, so just as we did with the LCAP, we reviewed the budget in the budget study session on May 31st. And so tonight is the public hearing for the budget. What we've included here is the PowerPoint presentation from last Wednesday, in addition to the full budget, which has been available for the public review. It includes all of the funds, funds 1 through 71, the cash flow, the multi-year analysis, and the state criteria and standards. So I'll quickly go through the PowerPoint. It is a little bit redundant for the board, but it is for the public hearing. The one thing to point out too, and I can point it out later also, is we have a positive certification for the 17-18 budget. So we continue to have a balanced approach with people, operations, and program. The budget is continues to be aligned with the LCAP. I'm not sure what happened.
Go again. Go.
Your screen is black too. There it is. Okay, so it is aligned with the LCAP. We reviewed that in detail last Wednesday with the board in the study session. Here's kind of a review of the budget as the May revision stands and where we were in January. The governor's final budget will come out in the next week or so, and then, as we discussed, we'll then revise our budget and present that to you at first interim. But there wasn't too much difference in the LCFF funding. There was a small increase in the COLA from 1.48% to 1.56%. The gap funding went from 26 to 43%, but as we discussed, as the gap closes, a higher gap funding percentage is not really a lot more money. We're at 97% funded to our target. The one-time funds, the one-time discretionary funds, which we had talked about in February, the governor has now stated that it will be increased, but they won't pay us until May 2019. So currently, we cannot count those one-time funds in our budget. The Assembly and the Senate have both stated that they want those funds to be paid out in 17-18, but then there will be some kind of a trade-off. So I don't know if the COLA will be lower or the gap funding or something else, but at this time, when we adopt the budget next week, we won't be counting those funds. And then the state deferrals, the good news is the state is going to pay us on time in June, for this June, which they had planned on deferring until next school year. So a review of our projected 17-18 revenues. Almost 80% of our revenues are LCFF funds. And you can see in the red boxes, property taxes, the education protection account, and then LCFF funds. As we get more property taxes in our school district, that does create more cash flow problems. And so we did ask the board to approve a resolution for a TRAN earlier this spring, which will allow us to borrow in months. And if you look at the cash flow, which is also attached to the agenda item, there are several months of negative cash flow. And then it just shows you the other components of revenues. Most of it is the state funding. The federal funding is very small, special education and other. And then the STRS GASB is really, the state contributes a portion to the teacher's retirement system, and it's an accounting function where we have to book both the revenues and expense in our books now, just to reflect that. It's really just a budget entry. So for expenditures, you can see a breakdown of our expenditures, and almost 80% of our expenditures are really with staff salaries, teachers, administrators, classified, and benefits. And then there's instructional materials and books, and the county costs are the cost of our special ed students, attending the county class. And then services and other, a lot of those services are for contracted services and special ed services. So here's a review of our parcel tax, where we stand from this year, and then projecting out from For next year, the thing to note is we did have an ending fund balance the last few years with the parcel tax. And after many board discussions, the decisions were made to spend those one-time funds on one-time items. And so in 16-17, you can see we purchased library books with the ending fund balance. And then we also designated funds, which is on the high side because we talked about this last week, that it'll be less than $50,000 for the summer math program. And the summer math program will be spent partially in 16-17 and 17-18. So as these numbers in 17-18 are finalized, you'll see maybe a little bit of a higher ending fund balance if we spend less on the math program or any of the other categories. But the revenues are looking a little bit lower in the projections from our parcel tax administration company than the $1,316,000. So we won't know until June what those final numbers are. Did you have a question? No?
Do they have a reason for why their projections on the parcel tax
Well,
revenues?
they give us a range, and it's basically just the senior exemptions and the disability exemptions. If more people are filing exemptions, and if there's not a turnover of home sales and younger families moving in, so it hasn't really increased the last couple of years. The parcel tax, the amount.
Yeah.
But we'll present a final amount to you after we close the books in June. See where that comes out. So just kind of a review of multi-year considerations. The big items we've talked about again and again are retirement costs for our employees. The state retirement system is underfunded, and so both STRS, which is Teachers Retirement System, and PERS, the classified employees, have increased the contribution rates for employers. And you can see the increases multi-year there. It's for STRS, it's 1.85% a year, which for our district is over $230,000 a year. Each year we're increasing, so it's cumulative. And then for PERS, it's 1.9% to 2% in 1920, and the increase is $90,000 each year. And then health benefits, this year we were very fortunate. We were able to do a restructuring over the last year where we now use a Kaiser rate for our health benefits, and then even more fortunate that Kaiser went down 4% in 16-17. So we haven't projected a huge increase in health benefits for 17-18, but it really is to be determined when CalPERS publishes their rates next week or in the next week or so. And once we have those figures, we can then update the budget. So pretty firm are the first two columns with STRS and PERS, but the health benefits, we really need to see where the rates come in. And then step and column, we did have 4 teacher retirements, which did partially offset our step and column increases for 17-18. So another other multi-year considerations is the Obama Affordable Care Act. We don't know what's happening with that with the new administration, so we're just continuing to do our reporting as we have been. Our enrollment has been declining, and we talked a lot about that, how it really hits us in 17-18, because when you have declining enrollment, you can use your student population from the year before if it's higher, or the current year. And since we are in declining enrollment now for the second year, we're going to be using this year's enrollment for next year. And so we really take a hit in 17-18 for declining enrollment. So we'll just keep hoping the numbers can improve. Slowly we see families coming in, but we won't really know until the end of summer who comes and who goes. Textbook adoptions, this is a big item. We've talked about it. It's really costs about $400,000+ to get $400,000+ to do a textbook adoption, and the state is no longer funding textbook adoption. So it really has to come out of our LCFF funds, local control, and we have to find a way to set those funds aside. Support of other funds, we continue to support the child nutrition funds for quality meals and capital outlay. We have our facilities master plan, which we've spent a lot of time reviewing. And then we have the Odstad workforce housing financing project, which we are moving forward with the RFQ for that project and continue to work on that. So multi-year considerations. Now the estimate for the one-time funds is about $500,000, but we really are not counting that in our budget because it's not going to be paid until May 2019. And they said even if they do pay us in May 2019, they really don't know what the number's going to be. They're basing the estimates on revenues that are generated from your highest taxpayers, and that could fall short. So the budget has the state budget has some risks to it. So we'll keep you apprised as we get more information in June. That would be $170 per ADA. And then, so we removed those expenditures from our LCAP, and as Will discussed in the study session, we shifted budget expenditures to account for the reduction in funds in our budget. So here's our multi-year summary. We are once again moving into deficit spending, and what we've done in 16-17 from the second interim is really looked at the expenditures and really just tried to reduce as much expenditures, because now we're in June, so we look at all the budgets to see where funds are unspent to show the most accurate ending fund balance that we can. And so you're looking at a 2.7 million, 8% reserve. The board has requested that we maintain a 6% reserve, but as we move into 17-18 with deficit spending over 800,000, almost 500,000, and almost 200,000, our reserve does go down to 4% in the multi-year. And so these are the best numbers we have at this time based on the staffing. When we come back in November, we'll be able to have more accurate revenue projections, more accurate staffing projections, and hopefully it'll look a little bit better. But this is what we are looking at now, and it is, we built it as conservatively as we could. So, did you have a
Just
question?
one quick question. So the in absolute value, in 1920, you see a real decrease in the deficit, and that's because of the one-time funds those are taken into account that are going to hit here or not?
Really, in 1920, the state revenues are picking up a little bit, and we budgeted flat enrollment. So the huge deficit in the 17-18 and 18-19 was picking up the declining enrollment, but in 1920 it's flat. So
Does that take into account the one-time funds that you get in May?
No.
No, it doesn't. So that's just off the
We can't.
table
It's
because you
just-
can't depend on it at all.
No, we're not
Yeah.
counting it at
Yeah.
all.
Okay.
So this picture could be very different, when we come back in November, if there are some one-time funds.
Sure.
Yeah, so it's not being
Okay.
counted.
But this is the most conservative.
Most
outlook that you have.
conservative that we have at this time, with the best information that we have at this time.
Okay, thanks.
And then reserve considerations, we continue to talk about the importance of maintaining reserves, and our board has really been committed to trying to maintain a 6% reserve. And for all of these very reasons, just the unknown things that could happen, fluctuations in enrollment, and protection against the state funding volatility. We just don't know.
What's the minimum that our reserves have been in, say, the last 10, 15 years?
For Pacifica School District?
Yeah.
Oh, for 10 years, that's a long ways to go back, but we have maintained about 6% for the last few years. There's Fund 17, which we reflect on our presentations, that the board many years ago had put a little bit of funds away.
I was just wondering if we've ventured into this 4% territory in
Oh.
recent,
Yeah, I think we have, but the
or
last
lower.
couple of years, we've been over, with the one-time funds each year that we've been receiving, we've been at 6%, because everything is counted that's in the unrestricted fund balance. So we've been maintaining about 6% the last few years, but the last 10 years, no.
Yeah.
We always kind of project a little lower than what we end up with, so that's the conservative approach.
The hope, yes. So a deferred maintenance fund, the board has committed $240,000 a year. We talked about the projects that we're moving forward with this summer. We did have the bid opening for the roof projects, and we'll bring that item to you next week. We are moving forward with the Ingrid B. Lacey floor refurbishment, and that's it really for this summer. Oh, the Sunset Ridge kiln room venting. But that's really it for this summer. We're being conservative, just kind of holding tight in case there's any other unforeseen circumstances, like we had the big rains this past winter, and we did have some expenditures that were unanticipated. So we kind of pushed some of the projects into summer 2018, just to have a little bit more time in planning. And then we have our full facility master plan, which we shared a draft with the board And we really have worked quite a bit more on that since we presented it to the board, and we're feeling like we're building a strong list of projects for the facility master plan. So we'll bring that back to you again as we move forward. So planning for 17-18, we still, we have our parcel tax funds, which, covers the outdoor education program, the lead library media technician, the math summer program, or some of the newer items from the list that we showed you earlier. We have our professional development, our instructional materials, which, after some shifts, they are supported by other funds. We had educator effectiveness block grant last year, which we still have some funds left, which will carry over for next year. We have lottery and Title II. We did talk a little bit about the federal funding possibly going down for next year, and we still really don't know how the federal funds will be allocated. The state kind of determines if the funds go from the federal through the state, and then they might make some shifts with Title I, Title II. And as we get more information, we'll bring that back to you in our first interim report. Child nutrition and capital outlay. This summer, the lease income is going to cover technology, communications, our phone systems, and district-wide radios we've talked a lot about, but we're really just piloting that with our maintenance department right now. And then we'll see how that goes, and then possibly expand district-wide. So right now, it's just a pilot program. So here's our list of other future needs. I did get feedback on, and I didn't change the slide, but I did get feedback after one of our last meetings that we don't have the 4-5 Spanish teacher on there. And then I think there was something else, I think Ellie wrote it down for us, Ray, but there was something else I didn't have on there. So we'll update that, but the list just continues to grow. So direction for funding, we talked about currently we have our current funds, the LCFF, parcel tax, we, thank goodness for Pacifica Education Foundation, the state one-time funds, which we're not counting, and then some miscellaneous grants. Last week at our study session, we talked a lot about our capital facilities. And so based on the discussions of the needs of the facility master plan and our capital facilities, we did talk about moving forward with just surveying for a geo bond. And so that's one of the items that we're going to bring back for further discussion next Wednesday is maybe possibly a contract for surveying with Godby Research so that we can move forward on looking into the geo bonds. And we're also going to bring to the board what's called a resolution for reimbursement, which just puts us in a place that if we do move forward with the bond election, that having this resolution in place will be able to the board will be able to get reimbursed for projects this summer. So there's two items that are going to, after discussions from last Wednesday, that we'll bring back to you next Wednesday. So next steps, there's a final state, we'll wait for the final state budget in June, see how the timing of the state payments, we'll update our budget. At first interim, we'll have our final staffing, we'll have health benefit costs and updated enrollment. As I said earlier, we do have a positive certification. One of the items we have tonight for the board is the state's criteria and standards. And just to kind of look at some of the fiscal indicators on that document is declining enrollment, operating deficits, health benefits, uncapped health benefits, and uncapped retiree health benefits. So those are the items that when you look at the budget report and the fiscal indicators, those are the items that kind of are yes answers that we should look more closely at. So again, we'll bring the budget back next week for adoption. I don't know if there's questions, comments, or further direction for staff.
Thank you.
Thank you. I know it was redundant, sorry. We just did this last week, but I figured we'd do it again for the public.
But it's actually kind of nice to have the work study and then to have it kind of again.
Yes.
Because it takes a
Then
while.
it's like-
It takes a while for everything to sink in, right?
Yes.
So the second time, there's more absorption.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, 5D, public hearing 2017-2018, reserves in excess of state minimum level. Goal is governance, and that's Josie again.
Okay, so this is really about our reserve level, and it's a little bit, it's funny how you get you get guidance that you should maintain higher reserves, and then you try really hard to maintain higher reserves, and you go above what the state says is the minimum reserve, which is 3%. So now there's new, a Senate bill that you have to explain to the public, why is your reserve more than 3%? And so the document attached basically shows the reserve, what the 3% is, and what the excess, what they call excess reserves. And it was really listed on our multi-year that we just looked at, and the excess reserve is going to go towards the deficit spending for the next 2 years. And so this is another public hearing for the public, and this document will be posted on our website for public review.
So Josie, do you know of any school district that is keeping 3% reserves or less?
I think there's, some are going to be getting close, because out of the county, 22 school districts are going to be deficit spending in 17-18. So and of course there's one or two that were qualified or negative, and so there's a couple that are close. And we'll probably see more as people are deficit spending. But I don't have the exact numbers for you.
Okay. 5E, resolution to update local plan of San Mateo County, SELPA-ADD, KIPP, Valiant Community Prep, and that's governance, and that's Ray.
So this resolution recommends to add KIPP Valiant Community Prep School into the San Mateo County Special Ed Local Plan, otherwise known as SELPA. The governing board of SELPA is making a recommendation to change the local plan by adding KIPP. The only way the SELPA governing board can do this, though, is to get all of the district's boards to approve. So it is recommended that our board approve this resolution.
Okay, any questions or discussion?
I guess I was just interested I sort of feel like I don't have enough information as to why we should or should not do this. I mean, KIPP is a well-known large charter management organization. I don't know too much about their enrollment. I think KIPP is a well-respected CMO as opposed to some others that probably aren't as well-respected. What we know is that a lot of charters don't offer the services that would create demand for families with special needs students. And so here we're talking about allowing them to take part in the SELPA, which I in my heart, I think it's the right thing to do. But I'm just wondering what types of services they currently draw upon from the SELPA. There's more than just this Valiant. I mean, there are many KIPP schools, and I'm just I'm just really not sure what this entails. What types of services they draw, or if this is just more of a kind of a feel-good thing, like welcome to the club.
So the governing board, it's my understanding, the SELPA governing board does research on any LEA that requests to be part of our SELPA, the San Mateo County SELPA. What charter will get out of this is a variety of resources that our SELPA provides, such as professional development, budget management, enrollment projections, and then of course attending monthly meetings with all the special ed directors in the San Mateo County SELPA. So there's a networking process. That's the definite benefit of KIPP being invited in and becoming part of our SELPA. But prior to this, the governing board of SELPA makes sure that KIPP is providing quality service to the students that are enrolled in that program, and the SELPA wants to be able to support those students through San Mateo.
Okay, so that's what I wanted to make sure, that it's not kind of, participation in the SELPA isn't sort of crowding out services that they would otherwise provide.
Correct.
Right? I don't want, and I'm sorry for this sort of paranoid skepticism here or whatever, but I just want to,
it's a good thought process and good.
Make sure they're not like free riding. Right? On there. So, yeah, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much, Ray.
We get about one of those per year, don't we?
We do.
So is that a new KIP charter? Or are they just now doing special ed?
I believe the
What's
charter is in existence. They're expanding and with their special ed program and wanting to get that support from SELPA level.
But my understanding is this is not, I went to their website, it didn't seem like this was a special education charter school.
Right.
It was just a charter school, and then they had a bullet that was like their, bullet number 5 said, we're offering enrollment to all kids, including, special education, so, which was nice to see,
Yes.
to tell you the truth, so.
Okay. Any more questions or discussion? No? Is there a motion to approve?
I'll move.
Okay, second? Okay, all in favor?
Board passes 4-0, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, 5F, report interest earned third quarter 2016-2017. Josie?
Okay, this is an information item for the board, and it basically reflects the interest earned by fund for the third quarter and for the year-to-date. And the interest rate continues to be, just pretty low, 1.02%. So our total interest for the year was $33,000 for all funds. There it is.
Okay. 5G, board meeting July 12th, 2017, cancellation and other scheduling topics. Governance, Wendy?
So I bring forward to you this item. Usually in July, although we do have a scheduled meeting, because we schedule our meetings approximately every 3 weeks, July 12th, 2017 is scheduled, but I request that the trustees consider canceling that meeting, since many of us may be out on vacation, etc. And there really isn't any pressing items at this time that I see that needs to be brought forward. The other suggested date you might want to take a look at, because I'm not quite sure what the trustees' vacation schedules are, but August 2nd appeared to be a date that some people have shared that they may not be able to attend. We do need to have a quorum. We could do our board policies that day. There's about 19 of them, so some of we can give that early before we leave for vacation or end of June, and people can weigh in and let me know if they have any concerns. But August 2nd could be one that we could cancel as well if you would like, and then we would regroup August 23rd. We may need to do a work study sometime during that time, and I think after our June 14th meeting, we can talk about maybe some scheduling of work studies that may be off our current calendar. So those, if we want to cancel the meetings, we would need an action item on that. Along with that particular, the cancellation of the meetings, there are a couple of areas that I was wondering if we could discuss and try to reach consensus around. And one of them is we usually attend the CSBA conference. It will be in San Diego this year, which includes then flight requirements, etc. Did not know if there was interest in all of us attending, some of us attending, how we would want to go about doing that. And then, of course, I have that tentative, I'm already looking into 1819 and that possibility of scheduling. October 31st falls on a Wednesday. So I'm wondering if we want to just stay away from that, because, there'll be people out and about, and then I could just reschedule the meetings depending on which week and all of that. So if I can have guidance on those two items, it would be appreciated.
Well, with the Halloween one, there was one time when you were out of town on a conference and we switched to a Tuesday.
Right. So we could.
So it wasn't that far off, not
Right.
another week or something.
Right, we could do that.
Like the 30th of October or something.
Right, so if you prefer to just push it to a Tuesday, we could do that.
I'm totally happy and flexible. I would prefer not to have it on Halloween, just,
Right.
you
With
know,
kids,
to
yeah.
take the kids
Well,
out, but.
and you know, there are people who do community things, and Valentine's Day we have done it on Valentine's Day. I just want to remind everybody, but that's sometimes an adult thing as opposed to a family thing. So we could, is the Tuesday more preferred than, okay, thank you. And-
Halloween's on a Tuesday.
No,
No,
and
next year.
Next year?
not,
2018.
Oh, 2018, we're going all the way to 2018.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry, but I have to do that for you. That's my job.
Planning ahead.
Woo, I know, but you know.
So Wendy, on the other item, I personally am interested in going, but I also want to be sensitive to the budget issues, and right. So you know, so if you have, you know, some idea of how many slots you want to send, then we can talk about it and see who wants to go, or
not go.
yeah, or not go.
Yeah.
You know, so.
I kind of feel sensitive to the budget as well, and, you know, I'm okay with not going and, you know, having Jessie go and maybe bring back, you know, some topics.
Yeah, I'm happy to do that. I mean, of course, it's going to come back up here the following year,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
So,
right.
you
But
know.
it is different. I mean, every year is different. So you may want to send a couple of people. I don't, you know, because it's kind of hard if you're there on your own, if you don't have anyone to talk it through with, or so it's totally up to you.
Well, plus Jefferson might be sending some people as well, too.
Probably will.
Yeah.
I know I've felt since the budget problems that since it's up here every other year,
Sure.
you know, which I think we get a lot out of it, but it's right here, so there's not the
Yeah.
expense involved.
Yeah.
But but I don't want to stop other people who want to. I know you're new to it, so you might get more out of it than.
They're really helpful.
Let me think about it, because,
Okay.
like I said, you know, it's not cheap, right?
No.
So what I'm hearing is, we don't necessarily have to go as a team, because that has always been our desire. But if there are some who want to go, we want to support that, because it is good learning. It's excellent professional development and networking. And I'm hearing that one may want to go, two are probably going to pass.
I would like to go.
Okay, and then I'm not quite sure about Kathy, so because I want to speak for her, so I'll talk to her about that. I think she has more leaning not to attend, because she can go in San Francisco as well. So I'm thinking there are about two of you who may be attending.
So it might be a good year for Elizabeth to go.
Oh,
This year? What?
Yeah.
oh.
So, yeah, I mean, you,
I attended the classes with Kathy last year, anticipating not going to San Diego this year.
okay.
If that's what you were, yeah, that extra day.
Okay.
I attended the ones with her last year, in planning on not going to San Diego. So.
Okay, so thank you for that direction. Now we need an action on either canceling July 12th and August 2nd, or just July 12th. It's your pleasure.
You know where I am with this.
You're not here August 2nd anyway, right? Okay.
Please
The option is putting something, public meeting in session. And
Oh, on your door.
Airbnb door.
Yeah.
Because you are planning on being out on the 2nd, yeah.
So I'm in favor of, you know, the July 12th and the August 2nd, and/or having the meeting revolve around the policy review, or coming back, and then the 20,
The 23rd, we can just get on board
and
with it.
then possibly having the work study.
You can vote on them both separately, if you want.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, because that way you don't.
So,
Okay, so a motion to approve cancellation of the July 12th meeting. Do I have a motion to approve?
A motion.
And a second?
Sure, I'll second.
Okay, all in favor of canceling the July 12th?
Board passes 4-0. Thank you.
Okay, so then, motion to approve cancellation of the August 2nd, 2017 meeting? Okay.
I'm on
In a
board on this
second?
one.
Obviously a more popular day. Okay, in a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Board passes 4-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, number 6, board bylaws, board policies, and administrative regulations. Goal is governance. 6A, board policy and administrative regulation, BPAR 5113, absences and excuses. First reading, that'd be Ray.
So this VPNAR was brought to the board back on, at our May 17th meeting. And at that meeting, after board discussion, it was pulled so that we could revise language in the administrative regulation that would enhance the definition of immediate family and also align it with the definition of family in another administrative regulation, 4261.1. And so we're bringing it back for first reading with the revised language included.
Okay. Any discussion or? Any discussion or? No? Okay. 6B, administrative regulation, AR 4020, drug and alcohol-free workplace. First reading, Ray?
Okay, so San Mateo County Council is recommending policy that provides direction to district staff on how to respond to an employee who may arrive to the workplace in a state of impairment. So Pacifica School District has recommended the proposed administrative regulation, which does include a substance abuse screening process, again, that county council has recommended. It's embedded within the language. We currently have a board policy on drug and alcohol-free workplace, as well as an exhibit, which is what we have all of our employees sign, the exhibit upon induction into employment in our district. But we lacked in the administrative regulation, so it's recommended that we have this administrative regulation so we can have that substance abuse screening process, which would help in case of that unfortunate situation.
Okay. Discussion. Number 7, future agendas. Future agenda items.
Okay, so we have our future agenda items before us. And I don't think we have, it's gotten a lot longer. And so but I don't see us having any modifications. Probably the Godby research contract, we will enhance that language. It's really about a feasibility study for a general obligation bond. And it will be Godby Research and also TBWB, they work it together. TBWB Strategies, they work together in trying to hone a good survey for us in order for us to determine whether there is a community understanding and desire for us to move forward with a bond option. So that'll be June 14th, and we'll probably have it as one of our first items, so in case people want to hear about it and ask questions. Okay, other than that, everything else I think is as is.
Okay. Anyone have anything else? Nothing else? Anyone? Okay. We adjourn at 8:25.